From what I've read, between the ages of maybe 14, when you first discovered boxing, up till around 16, 17, you started to get into a little bit of trouble outside the ring as well, that there was a certain amount of aggression maybe in your character at the time for whatever reason, and that led to you spending some time over in America not long after that. Just tell us a little bit about that, how that came about.
I mean, at that age, 16, 17 years old, you're boisterous, you know, you want to prove yourself, especially with second name Eubank. Everyone's expecting you to be this tough guy, and you know, kids are trying you and they're trying it on, and you know, I get into fights. I was involved with you know, one of the local gangs, and you know, they would use me. They knew I could. They knew I could have the scraps. They would use me to settle beefs. And as you know, I was young and dumb, and I wanted to be the man. So I would fight. I was street fighting on a regular basis. And there's actually one to this day, I think, on YouTube. There's a video of me at 16 years old.
I remember watching it on MySpace about 10 years ago.
Yeah, fighting some kid in a car park. That was like a normal thing for me. And it's funny because I'd be with all these street kids doing all this street stuff, and then I'd go home to a £2 million mansion. It didn't, you know, I was living a different life.
What did your parents make of it all?
They didn't know. They didn't know any of the stuff I was doing until that particular fight did actually make it into a newspaper, and then I got in some pretty serious trouble after that. And then soon after that, that combined with the fact that my father saw how serious I was with the sport, they decided to send me to Las Vegas, the mecca of boxing. It used to be New York, now it's Las Vegas, obviously, with all the casinos and the big venues, the big fight venues out there. You know, any given time you've got, you know, a whole group of top fighters training and fighting in the city of Las Vegas. So it's a great place to train and to learn. So I was sent out there. I went to school out there, went to high school, got my high school diploma, and fought, you know, learned how the game really is. Started my amateur career, won the Golden Gloves, went to the Nationals, all before my 10th fight, my 10th amateur fight, you know, which was unheard of at the time. But yeah, that's where I was introduced to the hardship of boxing, because I was out there alone. I was going to the gyms by myself. I was getting beaten up every week by pros. I'm a young kid, 17, 18 years old, top-ranked gym, getting battered by these pros who see a young kid from England, second name Eubank. You know, let's see what he's got. You know, who does he think he is? He shouldn't be in the gym. Let's chase him out of there.
Do you remember the identity of any of those pros now?
No, I mean, not anymore. I sparred countless. I was sparring Zab Judah. I was sparring Chad Dawson. I sparred loads of different guys. Obviously, I was training with Mike McCallum, under Mike McCallum, then under Floyd Mayweather Sr. But I would go in there and fight anybody. I only had 26 amateur fights, but the amount of spars and the amount of experience I got from, you know, those gym sessions, that was my amateur career really. That was where I learned how to fight. Because a lot of people, you know, they say, you know, 26 fights is, you know, it's nothing. And it's not. Some of these guys, they're going into the professional ranks with 100, 200, 300 fights under their belt. But for me, I learned how to fight in those gyms. So, and it worked out. It was sink or swim there. You know, it was like if you can survive in Las Vegas, then I'll believe that you want to do it, and I survived.
So before we move on from this subject, I want to give you an opportunity to correct what may be a misconception. So at the time when you went out to the US, I believe your brother Seb went out as well.
Yeah.
It was reported at the time that it was an adoption, an American lady had taken you in, although it seems, reading other reports, that maybe that was just so you could achieve dual citizenship more than anything else.
It was a guardianship. She was my legal guardian out there. Obviously, as at that age, you have to have some type of adult there. I didn't. I wasn't adopted. I'm not, you know, my father or mother are not going to just.
Well, that's what I mean. That's
give
why
me
I
a way
want you to correct the misconception, because a lot of people saying, oh, he became too boisterous and they had to kind of shift him out to America for a couple of years because he was becoming a lot of trouble and that kind of thing, you know, the stuff on the streets and all that sort of stuff. But as you're saying it now, they were kind of sheltered from that sort of stuff that was going on anyway, so it doesn't really add up, if you like.
No, yeah. I mean, listen, at that age, everybody's getting into fights. Everyone's doing stuff they shouldn't do. You have to grow. You have to learn. But yeah, out there in the States, it was a great experience. You know, being able to get away from the pressures of having the last name Eubank as well, because obviously as an amateur, having that name in Britain, there was a lot of pressure. You know, every show you're going to, this massive crowds and everyone's expecting all these amazing things from a 16, 15-year-old kid. They're comparing him to a world champion. So it wasn't really fair. In Las Vegas, I kind of was able to fly under the radar and just learn and get on with it.
Did that ever make you think twice about turning professional? Because obviously your father's most celebrated in the professional game rather than the amateurs. And when you became based in the UK again to launch your professional career, although the name would open doors, there would also be that added pressure of his shadow, if you like, lingering over your career.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm always going to be compared to my father. There's always going to be, I can't get away from that. And I don't really want to. It's not, you know, it doesn't affect me. If anything, it pushes me, because I know I have so much to live up to. I know I have this big name. My father's done so much in the sport, so I can't let the name down. I have to perform. I have to fight. I have to represent the family name. So I used it to my advantage. A lot of fighters would buckle under that type of pressure, being compared to a world champion in the amateurs and as a novice professional. It's tough, you know. It's not fair, but that's life. We're in the same sport. We've got the same name. You can't get away from it. You just got to deal with it. You just got to learn how to use it to your benefit instead of letting it mess with your mind and affect your performances.